Well, welcome back, folks. We've got more Dota 2 coming your way for Game 2 of this best-of-3 series between Navi and Team Tinker. We're one game away from elimination. If you're a Tinker fan, that is. Navi taking the first game puts them in a pretty good spot. We are in the round 1 of the lower bracket, so a lot on the line here. I'm Zyori, joined again by Merlini. Merlini, what is the secret to the Navi success?
Play against Tinker.
Play against Tinker. I like it. My man loading up the rocket launcher.
Dire team pick.
Well, this time, Navi grabbed the Wisp first. He's been first picked on Radiant. 2 for 2 now, but on opposite teams. Team Tinker strike back with a Juggernaut Lion. They know what they want, and they pick it up quick.
Navi's turn to pick.
Wow, they didn't even hesitate for that.
They were ready, man. They're ready to Omni Slash and finger some biddies.
So Navi banned out the Tidehunter. I believe it was banned out last game as well. Tinker also banned out the Lycan in game 1, 2.
Yes.
So the Wisp, I mean, to be honest, didn't really do much last game. We saw a couple of relocate ganks.
Not that many, though.
Yeah, not that many. Well,
strikingly
there weren't many kills at all in general.
Yeah,
and they didn't really have a good way to get kills because
they just didn't have a good team for a slow game like that.
They didn't have Observer Wards up.
Yeah.
If they had better vision, I think they could have picked off heroes a little bit more.
Well, some of that was because they picked up a gem and lost it within like 2 minutes. So they lost a lot of vision control at a crucial time when they needed to make kills.
That was disastrous for them.
This is about the worst time to lose it. Yep. That was pretty rough.
Navi's turn
So
to
Tinker will go for the Juggernaut again, and Navi, who to pair up with the EO, not sure yet. Definitely won't be the CK since that is banned out. I actually think CK is pretty good in Juggernaut, at least in theory. I've seen it work out a couple of times, but at the same time I've seen Juggernaut.
I mean, anyone with illusions, like you pointed out, Manta is just kind of inherently pretty good against Jug, and since CK's ult has been just getting buffed over and over, and now you've got like 45 seconds of Chaos illusions. Yeah, I think it's good against Jug. I mean, he can definitely square up with him.
You just need high HP heroes, and you need illusions, or either or you can have both, like the Troll last game. Tons of HP, tons of armor, and Manta illusions, and that just makes Omni Slash a trifle to tank through. Or Mass Ghost Scepters. They had 3 Ghost Scepters last game. And Juggernaut didn't actually go for a Diffusal build, and this is where you go like, okay, well, he had Mask of Madness, but then he wasn't able to do Roshan with it, and he wasn't able to keep on pace with Troll's farm that game because of the Ancients
10 seconds
that Havos constantly utilized. So hopefully we see Juggernaut utilize a little bit better, and they have a much better killing lineup, I say, this game. Lion and Ogre, Magi, both of these heroes, very tanky. Or, sorry, not very tanky. They're very good at bursting on EO. Ogre is very tanky. I feel like they needed a frontline last game, and the Axe just didn't really seem to cut it, just because of all the magic damage that they had. Puck with the Dagon. He has Waning Rift Orb. He has a Dagon. They have the Coil, and they have the AA ultimate. And that was generally more than enough to kill the Axe on multiple occasions.
Yeah.
And if the Axe can't get in the front line, they can't ever get to the supports. Puck's always free to blink in. They didn't have any Venom wards drop down to cover the blinks. And now with these 2 heroes in the front line, Ogre and the Jug, looks like their late game would be short up a little bit too with a Bloodlust.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good thing to point out. Now, Navi strike back with a Legion Commander. We've seen the LC Wisp both work very well and also be a total disaster. And it may not be the Wisp pairing quite yet. That could be your Funnic hero just headed to the off lane, and they may still have a surprise in store for Havost, or that could be your Havost hero in the safe lane. So pretty open-ended, grabbing the Venge early on, a nice support hero, and also does block a potential counter pick against the LC. So kind of working on multiple fronts for Navi. What will Dendi play here? This could be an okay Invoker game for old Dendi.
He could be playing LC. I mean, Navi's lineup actually looks like an older Tinker lineup with the LC highly prioritized. And Tinker loved this hero a lot. Generally, they ran it with a Skywrath support, but they were known for running Wisp a fair amount of the time too. And of course the Wind Ranger pickup from Tinker that we don't see very often either. Generally you draft it against very heavy physical damage lineups, heavy right click, not necessarily physical damage, heavy right click lineup so that your Wind Run's actually effective, or you draft it with like a Drow Ranger, let's say, just for that extra lane presence. But in general, Wind Ranger has been very hit or miss for me. Like sometimes I'm just like, wow, that hero would have done so much more if it were this hero instead. And a lot of times I'm just like, wow, this is Wind Ranger with Maelstrom and Focus Fire and these shackles is just amazing.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree about Wind Ranger. It's hot or cold, on or off, and a lot of that just is because of the Wind Run mechanic like you mentioned, but it's really Shackle. It's an amazing ability. If you can land 2 hero shackles, that's game winning at times. You know, and if you can't land those shackles, the other team is too evasive, then she just kind of can't really do a hell of a lot. But the power shot buff recently, I think, does lend her a helping hand, get that sniper rifle loaded up.
I think a lot of my negative experiences with Wind Ranger, though, has to do with a lot of confounding variables. Like, they don't have another AoE stun. I think if you have an AoE stun and then you follow up with a Wind Ranger shackle shot, it's incredibly easy and effective. And that's where heroes like Sand King and Lion, in particular with the 2 impales, Nyx Assassin as well, but he's not as popular. I think this just makes it as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that's a good point. Having some stuns to set it up is definitely an easier way to do it.
You need line stuns too, not necessarily like, you know, Lesh stun, Lena stun, Magnus stun. Those don't necessarily cut it. It's much simpler with the impale base.
Speaking of Magnus stun, Navi grabbed the Rhino.
The Arise Mag will not see play today. I don't know when they have it. That's what we've seen Arise play a lot.
Yeah, it's an Arise classic. Rise and S4, the two I always think of. So who is the Magnus player on Navi? Is that a Den? Does Dendi play a little Mag here and there?
I've seen Dendi play Mag.
Okay,
it's not his forte, but he can definitely play it.
I mean, there's just a lot of variety here. You know who's going to be playing the supports, but yeah, we'll just have to see. These final picks will kind of bring it to light. Navi ban out Centaur, Big Brad Warden with their final, taking some off-laners out of the equation, and Team Tinker will ban the Medusa. Not going to have any Medusa Magnus LC combo today, and I think she would have been pretty potent. The nature of RP and Stone Gaze, and LC and Medusa have one of those cool mechanics where she can taunt and actually force you to look a specific direction, so you can force out Petrifies with the Medusa ult, though.
Not only that, LC has a ton of physical damage
Yep.
to take use of Stone Gaze.
Yeah, that too. So, wise ban coming out of Team Tinker. But what do they do with their final pick here? How do they want to set up these lanes? Is it an off-lane Wind Ranger? Is it a mid-Wind Ranger?
I tend to think it's going to be a mid.
Yeah, that would have been my guess, too. I think Centaur, pretty wise ban. I don't know, Centaur and Jug just don't have that much synergy. I mean, he's still good with the right click to get in position for the Omni Slasher. They do work on that front, but the Blade Fury does not play well with Stampede.
It's nice to...
But it is good to get in position.
Yeah, I mean...
It's not bad.
I think it's underrated.
Okay.
I think it's still pretty good.
Okay, they take the Clockwork, so it will be the mid-Wind Ranger.
Navi's turn to pick.
Okay. So, long-range initiator. Lots and lots of single target on Team Tinker.
Clock is good versus Magnus. I think he's the only one that it's particularly good against Navi's lineup. He does have a lot of weaknesses. For example, if you can just tether out of the Clockwork stun, that's not incredibly good for the Clockwork. Vengeful Spirit too with the defensive swap, and Magnus with a skewer. But in general, Clockwork was used to counter Magnus a lot. You just scat him out with a rocket. If you hit him with a hook shot, then he's forced to skewer out, and then you can't actually have a good RP skewer combo for 30 seconds time. And in general, the Magnus is usually dead after that too. But yeah, not the greatest synergy with Juggernaut, just because they're because it's just overload of melee. And he doesn't really have a good way to have high mobility in fights, like, for example, a Phantom Assassin.
Are you breathing into your mic, Merlini? You might want to scoot it back. One of us is mouth breathing, and I want to say it's not me, but I don't really know. But you might just want to scoot back, or if you are channeling your inner mouth breather, try breathing out the nose.
It could be. I mean, it's like right next to my.
Could be both of us
too. Who knows?
We'll see. Hopefully, it gets better. I twisted some knobs. Funnick, 268 duels won, 31 duels lost. Oh, he's the one that has the derpy gem that we were laughing at last time, I think. Let's just keep track of how many times I've failed with my duels. I like that. That's good.
I still don't know why they made that a gem. I think in general, the duels, the gems are things that you would be trying to go for anyways, and that won't affect gameplay at all.
Yeah.
But
that's one that's like, no, I'm just trying to rack up losses, guys. I don't want to encourage that. So, all right, here we are, game 2. As we mentioned, Navi took game number 1, so this is do or die for Tinker. They need to make it happen here to move to an ace match. Go Black takes the Vengeful Spirit, and Havost will be on the Phantom Assassin. They'll be in the safe lane. Dendy heads mid on the Magnus, so he will indeed be getting some RPs this game. This is going to be a nice treat. Vanscore takes the Wisp, and Funnick will be playing the LC. Looks like a 2-1-2 coming out with the Wisp in the off lane, supporting old Legion Commander. Now on the Dire, Jason. Arise will be offlane on the Clockwork. That puts Sing mid on the Wind Ranger, and they'll just do a classic safe lane try. Boba, he'll be here on the Ogre. The leader of Tears on the line, and that leaves Koik, but safe lane Farmer on old Juggy. 2 for 2. Loving the Juggernaut.
Looking at the dual lane, off lane, is it going to be able to survive versus this pretty nasty try? They have 2 disables and a spin. Maybe with overwhelming odds and the 10 move speed, I think he can actually run out of it. And if they go on the Wisp, then they can press the attack. But still at level 1, without both of those tools available on the Legion Commander, I think they might be fairly vulnerable. Let's see what Lion skills first. The creep block has been pretty good, but this is a very aggressive.
Yeah, there's the tether over. Funnick, he'll be okay. Gets the press the attack. And, yeah, easy peasy, no problemo. Okay, so mid lane, Wind Ranger versus Magnus. Dendy getting harassed pretty hard out of the gate here. Sing poking him back. Thoughts about the lanes overall? Does Tinker have a chance here, Merlini?
Yeah, I like their draft a lot more. Although the Clockwork pick seems slightly out of place just because there's no like Skywrath or someone that has a somewhat difficult to hit ultimate that needs setup for. But at the same time, he can interrupt the Magnus. He can also, like a really skilled Clockwork can also just pick off a Wisp after tether or even break apart tether with the nice use of cogs. So it depends on the Clockwork play.
Boba going for a courier snipe here. Whoa, that courier micro. Shagbark walks right into him. He will live, has a bottle on it. Ogre doesn't get that second club in, but kind of a close call with the courier there.
Yeah. That
was weird.
They send it back up there, too.
They even saw Boba like kind of rotating around. He got hit by the tower, and then they sent the courier right back at him. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, whoop, caught the tail end of it as the Clockwork gets jumped on by Go Black and Havost. Yeah, just set up from the Venge and plenty of damage to bring him down. Still making sense of that courier play, but all right, courier survives. So bottle gets delivered to Wisp. Good news for Vanscore.
I don't think the creep wave should be out that far when you play as a Clockwork, because you have access to actually controlling the creep wave. One of the few heroes besides maybe Earthshaker that can do so and pull the creep wave back closer to your tower, especially against a melee hero like PA.
Do you mean by utilizing the cogs to block your creeps in, or stopping the pull camp with your rocket, or both?
Both, I would say, but mostly pulling the creep wave back with cogs, because this is just a terrible place for the creeps to be at. And PA actually needs a lot of chase room, which is why sometimes she's a much better safe lane than a mid, just because you can chase, 1-2 screens away and make use of her very short cooldown spells. The mid lane not really applicable, kind of similar to a Weaver. Weaver also needs a fair amount of chase room, which is why she's much better, or I don't know what gender it is, where Weaver? It is much better suited.
Weaver's probably a he. I would guess he's a he. I don't know. I get a dominant vibe from him, but who knows. Funnick and Vanscore staying aggressive in the top lane. How's the farm looking in this top lane? That seems to be pretty active on both sides. Funnick 11 in farm. Yeah, farming pretty decently. Koikfa 11 in 1. So
they're able to farm this. They're able to farm that stack, which is the most ridiculous part.
Dendy finds a solo kill on the Wind Ranger mid. Is it just me, or should that not happen too often before level 6 without a rotation? I guess a good skewer. Man, I'm not on point today, Merlini.
Well,
need some of that red
even
ball.
with a skewer, they generally shouldn't be able to get a kill.
Yeah, that's a really...
I didn't catch that.
That was... I feel like we've... throughout this series so far, we've had a lot of strange kills of these just oh, okay, somebody just blew up.
They shouldn't be able to farm the stack. They had 3 people up here. Now one of them have moved bottom, and Funnick and Vanscore were just able to take out 2 of the large camps completely uncontested. And Koikva, again, left to his own devices in the safe lane. And, I mean, what really is he supposed to do versus this lane, too? Already forced to use a healing ward just to keep his HP up. And he might even get right-clicked at tower.
Yeah. So the off lane for Navi going very well. How is it comparatively to the off lane of Tinker? Jason doing okay. I mean, he's 11-2. For off-laner standards, I guess this is pretty good, but not nearly as strong as that LC. And unfortunately, they've had to put a lot of resources into securing this baseline of farm. The Ogre's been spending a lot of time down bottom, and that is hurting the Jug. Maybe they can find a kill on Havost here as Bulba sets it up. Jason with the mana burn on the cogs. Ooh, Havost blinks over the creep wave, gets hit by the cogs again. Rocket flares there, and this should probably be a kill. Ogre with a stun in about 2 seconds. Jason gets stunned up, and Havost will actually make it out. They can't pursue. He pumps a healing salve, and he will live.
I thought that cog burned all this mana, but luckily with the Aquila just had a tiny bit left to blink strike. Very nice blink strike too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a cheap one, only 50. So good stuff there. Vanscore, he'll TP to the mid. Wow, look at this guy rocking all the bottles. And things looking pretty good for Navi. I would guess they've got a gold lead. Yeah, about 1,000 gold, 750 experience, 2-0 in the first 5 minutes, but not just about the kills. They seem to just be getting quite a bit out of these lanes in general. I mean, Dendi, I guess you can say he won mid now. He found a solo kill, so raw CS going the way of Sing, but Dendi level 6, and with Arcane Boots already looking pretty good with his farm.
And a lot of their wardage has been wasted too. Team Tinker with the Observer Ward on top, they aren't really able to make use of it and secure Jug's farm. Jug's farm is 2/3 of what LC's is at, 20 CS versus 30 CS, and on top of that, I mean, look at this again. They're pulling the stacks, and Wisp desperately needs levels, especially in this sort of laning situation, and he's definitely getting it.
Dendi almost caught in a sticky situation there. He has a lane ward down, so had a little bit of vision about what might be coming his way. Bulba and the leader of Tears will rotate up top. Vanscore and Funnick may finally get punished for trying to utilize this camp. Vanscore going to be the target of choice, gets stunned first. The attack gets pressed, tries to tether over. He'll make it, but the shackle does not latch. Still buys them a little bit of time. Can Navi look for a turn here? Sing Sing on the low ground, lays into Vanscore with the ultimate. They find the kill off that one. Now Funnick left by himself with the 4-on-1 and nowhere to go. Team Tinker finally strike back with a huge rotation. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Jason in a lot of trouble, gets stunned up, locks Havost in the cogs, but too many creeps nearby and not going to have enough damage for a kill. So Navi do get one down to the bottom lane, making a 2-for-1 around the map, and Dendi finds a little more space to CS.
That sort of play simply cannot go unpunished. The farming of the large camp in the safe lane, unless you're getting a lot of work done with your 2 supports in the mid and off, but they were not, and that's just... I'm surprised they let it slide the first time.
And now Funnick will find his level 6, has power treads up, so there is some kill potential if they can catch this Jug, maybe a little low on HP. Koikva doing 2 points in stats, then the 1-1-1-1 at level 6, and maybe kind of becoming a little bit more of a standard type Jug build here. Went for his phase boots, and if he wants the Mask of Madness, will be a little bit more delayed than what we've become accustomed to seeing, especially after that first game, where he had the Mask of Madness kind of almost completed by now, and he's still working on that recipe.
Navi doesn't have as good of a Roshan lineup like than they did last game. No Troll. Moment of Courage is decent with a lifesteal, but she still takes a lot of damage from Roshan. Only 3 armor on her. And they can also stack a lot of Ancients too. We saw Navi stack a lot more last game, but this game the option is certainly available.
They do have the bench.
Smoke into the opponent's jungle.
Looking for Havost, and, well, they kind of find him, but not going to be able to find the kill.
The rocket gave it away.
Bottom tower is under attack.
Clock is not yet level 6, so no option for a long-range hook shot there. Easy getaway for Havost. They'll keep the bounty runes safe, and...
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Dendi just wanted to give Havost a bottle charge or 2 before grabbing the bounty. Okay. Dendi with 1,200 gold, getting closer to that Blink Dagger.
Great game sense by Havost there too.
Yep, sees a lot missing off the map and moves into safe territory. They do also have a lane ward down, so caught some vision of the rotating.
I still think that rocket was just what gave it away for them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Funnick maybe gearing up for a duel on Jug.
Oh, and there's a rotation in the Radiant jungle. We'll go up top to catch Koikva. He's Blade Fury in. Funnick not going to get the duel damage. Now the rotation comes out. Close range hook shot. Stops Funnick dead in his tracks. Still tethered. Getting healed up quite a bit by Vanscore, but it's just not enough. The rotation from Bulba seals the deal. And that final nail in the coffin will yield a kill for the Legion commander. Bottom lane, now Havost and the Lions squaring off. The leader of Tears will just try to TP home. Havost almost finds it. A crit there would have secured it. But the Lion TP's out and gets a small stroke of luck. No coup de grace.
Nice Blade Fury by Qualifier there. Had he not Blade Fury, he would have gotten stunned by Venge and given away some dual damage.
Yeah. No dual victory on either side of the coin, but I guess that means it's kind of a defeat for the LC. Funnick now gets his level 7. Last point, overwhelming odds. And the quest for the Blink Dagger continues. 1,100 gold. I think Navi will continue to stay quiet till they have their Blink brothers online. Dendi now with 1,800 gold, getting very, very close.
And I think that might actually come out before to relocate
Dire's top
on
tower
Van's
is
score.
under attack.
And again, they're able to take out this stack. And this time, Team Tinker does not have an observer reward in the territory. And even if they did, it would have been dewarded by old Van's score.
Yeah, Van's score halfway through level 4, 10 minutes. Not too bad for a Wisp. Nothing crazy, but we'll have that relocate at an okay timing. Vos down bottom may find himself in a rough situation.
Dire's top tower is
Or,
under attack.
I mean, if Leader Tears gets crit one more time by the dagger,
Oh, no crit.
he is playing with fire there. He is... That... I don't like my odds there. 15% chance to die.
Yeah, that's trying to bait it out, man. You know, sometimes you got to roll the dice a little bit, I guess. So Qualifier, he's moved into the jungle. He does pick up the Mask of Madness after that little skirmish up top that gets him his item he needs to really get the farm going.
Another smoke.
Funnick sniffs it out, but won't go for it. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Havost walks right into Jason. Point blank hook shot, Cogs, but hops to a creep. Oh my gosh, the neutral creep. Lending Havost a helping hand when he needed it the most. The inverse 4 play right there. Merlini, Dendi coming in, pump fakes the RP, still has it, now gets stunned up, but will skew away. That was awkward, kind of hopped over the earth spike there.
They have a finger of death.
Havost goes in, gets turned into a froggy. Cogs come out to try and break it up, and no kill will come out here. Instead, it's up top. Juggernaut finds a solo kill on Vanscore. Looks like utilized the Omni Slash there to make it happen.
Goblik not quite level 6 yet. And they haven't been able to get kills with Clockwork, but at least he hasn't given up more deaths after those couple of early deaths that he's given. And I mean, I'm just so surprised Havost has been surviving all of these ganks due to fantastic play. Some of that was through the neutral, that blink strike earlier to the creep.
That neutral, dude. Just in the
I
perfect
think he
spot.
actually planned that out, though.
You think so? Do you think that was intentional?
Well, they had an observer ward over there, and not everyone was smoked. It was only 2 of the few heroes, so I think he was like looking to put pressure on them, or maybe he thought that there was another smoke game because Team Tinker has already done that once before, and their supports are missing, and he's the most likely target for them to gank. Mid, there's a Magnus. Quick reactions with the Blink Dagger will make him A-OK unless they hit a power shot, so that's a very risky gank. And yeah, I don't know. It's debatable, but still, regardless, he still had that backup plan of being able to. It was only 1 creep left too. It's not like he accidentally aggroed it.
Sorry, looks like Twitch is having some issues here. If you just want to continue going on, Merlini yeah, we're gonna keep going for the sake of the local. I don't know if anyone can still hear us, but it looks like the Twitch server just dropped out. We're still encoding on our end, so yeah.
You see Funnick with a press to attack blink, but will not catch Leader of Tears with the duel, and Wei2 will just walk away safely. But in the back line, seeing Boba and Arise looking for a shackle.
Middle tower is under
Yes,
attack.
sir, and not going to find the shackle latch. And now the fight will break out. Navi starting to get aggressive, overwhelming odds, getting Sing pretty low. Jason gets jumped on by Havost. Cogs, not going to be enough to save him, but the hook shot will as he hops to a friend. Funnick trying to pursue to finish him off. Blink forward, can he find the duel? No, gets caught in the fog, and they will not secure the kill. But Navi still with a 5-man squad in the bottom lane. Do they want to transition this into a tower push? It actually doesn't really look like it. Venge already headed back to the bottom rune to put a ward down, and that'll be the end of this little trade.
The Juggernaut's doing so much better in last game, or this game than last game. He's already been involved in 4 kills. He managed to survive the dual gank up top, and he's also putting a lot of pressure on this tower. And yeah, he's going to become a force to reckon with very soon.
All
Radiant's
right.
top
So,
tower is under attack.
Sing Sing, he's caught on the high ground here, and he will TP out. Does have a blink dagger. Dendi can't get there in time to interrupt it.
That greed. He wanted the bounty rune before he went to get that.
All right, and the top tier 1 tower gets denied by Havos. Cute little play there, but he walks right into an Omni Slash. Oh, it's a 4 deny Merlini. Now they relocate in. Funnick looking for a duel, but the leader of tiers is here. This might not be what they had in mind. Dendy nearby, looking for an RP opening, but just can't quite get it. Good split from Team Tinker, and Navi not getting the initiation that they wanted. It will end as a 1-0, or will it? Funnick hops forward, duel. Magnus comes in. That'll be a winner as the RP flies through and Lion gets taken out. Now Jason on the back foot, gets down some cogs, but Dendy skewers right over him, finds the kill on clock, gets a double there, and will get fogged as Bulba low on health, but will not get pursued upon. Navi coming back and striking with a vengeance, making it a 1 for 2.
I thought Funnick was dead for sure. They relocated into 4 heroes, but again, Finger of Death was not used by Way2, unfortunately. And I think it's been 15 minutes in. I don't think he's been able to get off one finger, but they're getting at least some kills on the map. And Funnick only has 1 duel to his name.
Yep. And again, sorry, I'm toggling here with Twitch settings. Going to change ingest servers. Hopefully that will help quell some of our problems.
Other items that we've seen being flown out. Havos has gone for a medley of items with the Aquila phase, Morbid Mask, and 2/3 of a Yasha completed.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Yes.
I don't know if he's going for the Manta style
Radiant
like last game.
structures are fortified.
Could also just be like a casual
Dire's
Yasha.
top
I've seen
tower
that
is
more and
under
more
attack.
recently. People just picking up
Radiant's
Yashas,
bottom
and
tower
sometimes
is
they'll just
under
transition
attack.
into Lincolns, various other
It's been
items.
pretty. I mean, that's
Yeah.
always been a popular build, though.
Yeah, just take it as a farming
Radiant's
tool. But
bottom tower has fallen.
I don't know. I've learned not to read
Dire's
too much
middle
into the
tower
early
is
Yasha
under
picks and
attack.
pickups. As, yeah, it could be a Manta or it could just be some value.
Well, we
stat.
saw Havos go Manta last game. I'd be more inclined to think that he would go it this game, too. At the same time, he needs HP badly, just because Finger of Death will eliminate 2/3 of his HP pool with one simple spell. And both teams kind of huddling around that middle part of the map. Juggernaut does have enough items to take out Roshan on his lonesome. So Yashka, Mask of Madness, and a Phase Boots. So it won't be the Battle Fury build that he went last game.
Yep. Sorry, still working with our tech folks here, but
I don't
fine.
think he needs to go to Battle Fury either.
Whoops.
I think last game was maybe a little bit too farm intensive from Team Tinker, and Yasha's a much better fighting scenario.
Up top, duel onto Koikva, relocates there, and that'll be a winner. Some extra damage. It was a close one, too. That duration was just about to run out. Some extra damage comes to the LC. It's actually Vanscore that'll get credit for that kill, and that will secure his urn. Nice relocate gank
Radiant's
from
bottom
Navi.
tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack.
Easy tower for them.
Dire's structures
And
are fortified.
yeah, about this time is when, I mean, Juggernaut shouldn't be out on the map like that. A lot of the Juggernauts that we see, they don't safely and free farm a lot. They're participating in kills around the map instead of in their own particular lane with the Omni Slash. And of course, the more you move it around, the more they're always scared of Roshan. And Navi, they haven't really been
Dire's
forced to
top
check in
tower
at all,
is
just
under
because he's
attack.
simply been sitting in the top lane. When you're farming the jungle a lot more, the opponents don't know where you are, and their movements around the map are a lot more hesitant, and they're like, oh man, is he doing Rosh right now? And they don't really have a good way to scout it at all, aside from Howl's Terror, and even that's not the best for them, especially with Clockwork constantly being on bottom side of the map. If he's out there by his lonesome, can easily just get trapped by a hook shot.
Well, now Team Tinker, they'll smoke up, go right into the Roche pit. Sing Sing and Koikva are the dubious duo that move in. And with a Yasha Mask of Madness, easy for the Juggernaut single even be there with a focus fire to make it happen. Should go uncontested. Navi don't seem too suspicious, and everyone's just kind of been sitting back farming in the fog, so no real way to tell exactly when they're going to make this movement. And as you pointed out earlier, this is kind of one of many things that makes Juggernaut very
Roshan
potent
has
in this particular
fallen to
meta.
the dark.
They will indeed get the Rosh, and there's that Aegis of the Immortal on Koikva.
This is very important for Tinker to securing that Aegis, just because Navi, they're usually securing kills either with RP or with a duel, and without enough to control Juggernaut to keep him in the grave twice, then he will be able to
Dire's
clean up
middle
if they
tower
choose to
has
engage.
been
So this
denied.
means that Navi has to choose much smaller engagements or just pick up
Dire's top
anyone
tower
aside
is
from the
under
Juggernaut.
attack.
But the Wind Ranger has a Blink Dagger, so she's pretty difficult to kill. Clockwork has a Blade Mail, and he's usually looking for opportunities himself rather than farming in lanes, and he's also a very difficult target to kill. So now Navi just have to play a little bit more cautiously, not necessarily what you want to do with a LC and a PA, but both of them very potent late gamers, so I don't think they'll be losing that much by playing the next 4 or 5 minutes passively while they wait out the Aegis.
Yeah, neither side really has any farm accelerators, so that's nice for Navi. They're not really on the clock. You know, it's not like this Jug has a Battle Fury, there's a Midas on this Wind Ranger, and they're farming out of control. Navi's sitting pretty with about a 5,000 gold, 7,500 experience lead, and are still working the map pretty effectively.
I think the bigger deal is that the supports on the side of Tinker are very, very poor. Ogre, no Scepter pieces in sight. Like, not even a point booster on him. And Lion doesn't have his Blink Dagger yet. He will have it in 400 gold, but even he's struggling for some sort of farm. The Ancient's already being...
Well, these are two supports with a lot of killing potential, and when you get stuck in these much more passive games, there's just not a lot of space for them to farm. They're giving that priority to their cores, and does slow them down quite a bit. I'm sure Lion would love to be running around, fingering people, and getting some more gold for that Blink Dagger, but with nobody to finger, it's really harboring his progression. But there is a big item pickup here just recently. That is the BKB on Havos, so he is indeed sticking to that casual Yasha.
They see that Funnick is out alone. There is a Reserve Reward behind there, and they know that... I mean, generally you think that, okay, he might be behind a Wisp. That's generally what you go for.
Whoa, hook shot from Funnick. Or, pardon me, onto Funnick. Will connect, and yeah, it should be an easy kill. Onto Funnick here, or will it? Shackle flies in. Wisp tries the tether to buy him some time. Still a nice clean gank from Team Tinker.
Good Reserve Reward to set it all up. And Navi's supports on the other side, they just do much better with that items. Vengeful has a medallion, already pretty darn useful, especially if you use it on a dual target or the LC while dueling. And EO has Earnest Shadows. Ideally, I guess you'd have a mech at this point, but not the biggest deal that he does not.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of the same conundrum. Only Sony places. Old Wispy can farm here. Still 1,300 gold. He's doing okay for himself. Juggernaut will now find his Manta style, so he is definitely coming online a bit more. Only 2 minutes left on the Aegis. Feels like just not that long ago. He was taking out Roshan, but Navi probably not going to be too interested in forcing a fight. After that gank onto Funnick up top, recognizing there must have been a Lade Ward down, they will get a Sentry and get a little bit of the warding victory there.
Blink Dagger up on Lion.
Oh, that's good. Now some Blink Hex initiation. Quite potent indeed.
And PA has also gone back for a BKB. I think pretty imperative versus an Ogre, a Lion, all this Magic Burst, even a Wind Ranger. Still won't make him invulnerable against the Omni Slash from Jugger. So that is a very real possibility that he's going to die from that.
Yep. Dendi with his mobility items online. Blink Dagger, Force Staff, and now working towards a BKB of his own. His farm looking okay. Fairly standard LC with a Glove of Haste. Well, probably a Maelstrom.
This game, Team Tinker has actually varied their damage output sources a lot too. Last game it was a lot of physical from Axe and Juggernaut, and this game is a lot of physical from Juggernaut. Some magic from Wind Ranger, but a decent amount of physical as well, and their supports provide a lot of magical. So if Navi decides to mass Ghost Scepters like last game, they just get blown up with Finger of Death.
Well, some tower exchanging coming about now. Navi moving to the tier 2 in the top. Team Tinker go to the tier 2 in the bottom. Put Koinkba in the front line. Still a little bit of time left on the Aegis, and both teams will hand over their towers. No glyphs used, no overreactions, and everybody just goes right back to farming in the opposing jungle.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Even is good for Navi. Even though they're slightly ahead in gold, they really don't want to take a fight into this Aegis. So it's about to expire in 10 seconds, I'd say. So in the 5 minutes, we had, what, 1 LC kill and tower exchange. That's decent for Navi. Ideally, it'd just be a straight even 0-0. And
Navi are still on the up and up, though. Aside from that little Funnick pickoff, you can see the dip in the gold graph. They're still farming just a little bit more effectively. Here's a big pickup, though. The Wind Ranger gets the Aghanim Scepter. So now down to a 15-second cooldown, and getting rid of that damage reduction as Singh nears level 16. This goes on long enough. Wind Ranger can definitely play that kind of secondary carry role and start laying in a lot of damage on top of that Juggernaut.
I think she needs MKB. She can be the hero that just destroys the Phantom Assassin during BKB.
Yeah, if she gets an MKB and then you connect with a shackle, that
I mean, you don't even need a shackle. As soon as she blinks in and BKBs, you just focus her down.
Yeah,
and as long as you don't get caught by an RP, I think that's enough to limit the PA's damage severely.
Yeah, at least, like you talked about, that versatility in damage output, it makes PA, sometimes you'll see somebody pop a 10-second BKB, feel a little bit of immune, kind of get that haste rune sort of syndrome going on, and this gives them an option there if Avos gets a little too aggressive.
Not only that, there's the Omni Slash to worry about.
Bulba here on the Ogre Magi, picking up the point booster, so making progress towards that Agonist, but still rather far away, and LC now with the Maelstrom up. Vanscore has picked up the Ghost Scepter, so Juggernaut's life going to get more and more difficult as more Ghost Scepters come out onto the field, probably what Go Black's pulling up for next. Has a Medallion, and now they will smoke in the Radiant jungle. Where are they going to go with it, though, here? Relocate is available.
Jug's also going for an MKB over, let's say, like a Diffusal. Not enough Ghost Scepters on the board to warrant a Diffusal pickup, it seems. And the important heroes to kill, Dendi, Funnick, and Havos, don't actually have Ghost Scepters.
Yeah, that's getting a Diffusal just to be able to stop the Wisp from being immune to physical for 4 seconds.
This is a very important part of the game, though. Right before the second Roshan. Neither team really wants to give up a kill into a free Rosh just because of how much control that single Aegis will give you. And, you know, this is where you see the smokes blown out. This is where you see teams move out on a 5 and just play it very cautiously, awaiting that respawn.
Yeah, Jug closing in on the MKB, about 2,500 gold away. You mentioned he has that Demon Edge picked up. We'll see if it'll be a fast Rosh timer here coming up in about half a minute. And that will certainly become the focal point of this game. In a kind of a 5v5 stalemate around the pit, who would you say has better control of that area? Navi have Magnus with RP, which is always great in those close quarters, but the nature of all the AoE that Tinker can put out, the hook shot, I don't know.
Here it goes, the pre-Roshan brawl.
Yep. Okay, it's going to be a longer respawn. About 2 minutes since the initial timer. Dire, we're going to take a look at their vision. They have a ward down that Navi are walking right on top of. They know exactly how they're moving into the jungle, and Team Tinker will retreat. This is the value ward right here. Making sure they don't get caught with their pants down.
I'm surprised they didn't smoke. That's a pretty good time to smoke. All 5 of them were gathered up near the Tier 1 tower. They actually have 2 smokes in their shop, too. So that... I mean, they were in a pretty good position even if they were to smoke. So Tinker were definitely prepared for that. They were like hiding in the fog, and if the smoke pops, they get revealed by the Observer Ward, and then they can just, you know, blink out, spin away, Clockwork, hookshot out. And this time, this is a very difficult fight for Navi to take. Pushing into that T1, they have no vision behind enemy lines.
This is Navi vision right now, folks. All they see is Sing Sing.
All it takes is a good control on Dendi, I'd say, and Navi loses the fight. Like, if he doesn't get, like, an RP off, they definitely lose. I think if they don't get, like, a 2-man RP even, I think they lose, too. So this is a very difficult fight. Because when you're Magnus and you don't have a smoke and you're pushing, he gets scouted out. They just shoot power shots randomly, rocket flares, and now he's in vision.
And Funnick trying to make a hop in, but not going to find an opening. Instead, they will just settle for the tower kill. Funnick gets the last hit there, and now things get a little easier for Navi. That's a main access point to control the pit for Tinker. They already have a sentry ward down on this key ward spot in the area, so they know Navi don't have vision. But no fight will break out. That is definitely a victory for the Radiant here. Rocket Flare comes in, scouts out the Rosh area, and he will be coming up here in just a couple of seconds.
Navi's very smart not to leave this area of the map, though. They have to control Roshan just because Juggernaut is so darn good at taking themselves. And Godblack will walk in right as it respawns, and they will place a ward, and there's a sentry up there, but they don't actually have any vision up that hill.
All right.
And this is being taken down very fast. Where is Juggernaut? Juggernaut is TPing in, but it's a little bit too late.
Oh no, the minus armor is here.
No.
Team Tinker, they're about to hand over a free Rosh. Navi taking it down. They can't get there in time. Now the hook shot connects on 2. Go Black and Funnick stuck inside, but Jason, he gets off the blade mail, but he goes down. The 2 supports end up falling, and they also get the LC. Where did the Aegis go? Lion gets blown up. It looks like Tinker might be able to make it happen, but it's Dendi with an RP. Havos just going ham, throwing the auto attacks, looking for all the coup de grace he can. Has an Aegis of the Immortal, and what a time for a disconnect. Holy Toledo.
That healing ward placement was very, very good. And man, if Tinker were there 5 seconds earlier, that would have been a completely different fight. And Navi with their eyes on the prize. They move right about 8 minutes. So like the earliest possible respawn, they're already moving to take control of the area. They move around as 5. They take down a tower together. They retreat to the jungle together. They push down the river together. They move into Roshan. They drop a ward, and then they just slay Roshan. That's a very clear, well-executed game plan at controlling second Roshan. Whereas Tinker, they're like, well, we're sticking around. We don't really want to defend this T1 because we don't want to lose this fight. And they're just much more hesitant about it. And then they go for the Roshan defend. They have Clockwork Rocket. They have Power Shot. These are excellent tools at scouting at the Roche pit. And they didn't utilize it well.
Yeah.
They hookshot in after it died. And yes, they're up 3-2 in the fight right now. But PA still has Aegis. Magnus is actually stuck up the hill. But he does have a skewer available to him. And Omni Slash has already been blown, and his healing ward isn't actually close enough to heal him unless he goes to the high ground where the Ancients are. So this is it probably will be a break-even fight at the end of the day, but it could have just been so much better for Tinker.
Yeah, it seems like there's just a case of the greed where they wanted Quakefoot to farm as long as he could until they committed to the pit, and by the time he TP'd in, it was already clear that Roche was going down pretty soon, and they couldn't have initiated too much earlier than that. Maybe the Clockwork could have just YOLO'd in. And
well, even a hook shot
hit.
or power shot would be enough to dissuade them and be like, oh crap.
Make your presence known, kind of.
Well, they need vision of the Roshan HP. If he like hook shots in when Roshan's at 5%, he can cog them out and then steal the Aegis. And they didn't preemptively pop BKBs as the Roshan was happening, so this was a very real possibility. On top of that, Lion has a blink stun. He was able to blink Impale, but only after the Roshan had already gone down.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, looks like this will be a slightly longer pause. I think Tinker have a few AFK, maybe in the bathroom, hopping up for a second here, and always awkward when you pause kind of mid-skirmish like this, as it gives both teams the opportunity to evaluate and figure out what their game plan is going to be as they resume in here. Dendi is pretty much out of cooldowns. Like you said, he has a skewer available. We'll have a shockwave coming up. He's already blown most of his damage. Havos did hit level 16 in this little skirmish. He'll be coming back to life. I think Navi should be able to clean this up pretty well. Koik was going to be forced to run here. Doesn't have a healing ward cooldown, 1 point in Blade Fury. He's going to hightail it out of there, so I think it's a matter of can they clean up Bulba and Sing.
Well, Havos is most likely going to die. He is very low. He's 200 HP. He's just one stun away from dying, and Ogre Magi has stun up in just 1 second. So we can pretty much count Havos' Aegis out of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can also fight next to the healing ward. I wouldn't say that this fight is over, because if Sing Sing pops his ultimate on Havos, he's going to drop pretty quickly. He doesn't have any of his cooldowns up. No Manta, no BKB, no Aegis.
All right, so Sing Sing taking a lot of damage. Goes down right away, as Merlini was talking about. Dendi, he'll skewer defensively, and that's where this will peter out. They'll all hightail it out of there as Havos respawns from the Aegis death, and it will end as a 2 for 4, though that fourth on Navi was the Aegis, so really a 2 for 3. Still a huge fight for Tinker, and they get about 1,500 net worth going their way. Steps in the right direction.
Yeah, overall, a pretty good fight for them. I still contend that it could have been just so much better had they kept their eyes on the prize. And that was like a pretty long time after the Roshan respawn. Like, imagine if, I don't know, maybe they thought that Roshan hadn't respawned yet and luck would be on their side. But that's a risk that you don't really want to gamble with.
Well, the important thing for Tinker that fight is Juggernaut survived. So off the back of that, he does have enough gold to pick up his MKB.
Wind Ranger, too.
And, is hers completed?
No. She survived.
But she lives. Yeah. I was going to say, wow, he has an MKB already. He has the first Javelin, but that is a big tool to try and cut through this PA even more effectively. And speak of the devil, Havost here gets the Basher, and a BKB is now out on Dendi. And Dendi, he's going to walk into the danger zone. Old Shagbark might get caught out also. They'll let the Courier live, but Dendi not going to be so lucky. Okay, spoke too soon. They find the Courier as it flies over the tree line.
Dendi.
No speed burst available.
So greedy. He's bottle crowing 30 minutes in.
Radiant's middle
Yep,
tower
Glowing
is
Blade and
under
Bottle
attack.
stuck on the Courier, so a great pick for Team Tinker there. It gives them a sign of life and another
structures are
1,500 net
fortified.
worth trade going in their favor. They'll get the Tier 1 tower.
Hook
Clockwork throws a hook shot off the mark, yeah. Close call, though. So Tinker's really striking back. The leading farmers less than 1,000 net worth apart. So Havost and Koikva
That's 2 freebies that Denny has given them. One was letting the Wind Ranger survive on the high ground, and second was that kill and the courier. So that's pretty unfortunate for Navi.
Sure is. Oh, Funnick, he's going to get caught. The leader of Tears comes in with a blink hex. The follow-up stun is there. Bulba with some stuns on the high ground. Fire Blast, the latch, shackle, and Legion Commander will go 6 feet under. It's just 5-on-1. Team Tinker moving around, finding the pickoffs, and clawing their way right back into this game, fighting for survival. And now it's only a 5,000 golden experience lead for Navi when it was a solid 7,500 just minutes ago as we move into yet another pause here.
Wind Ranger is going to do a lot of damage, and Navi doesn't have any MKBs yet either, so if he just preemptively pops Wind Run, I think he is going to destroy either of these melee carries on the side of Navi, and I mean Juggernaut too, because he has Omni Slash, and he doesn't really need the defensive capabilities of BKB or Butterfly or anything like that. Not yet.
Although there are instances where a BKB on Juggernaut is certainly warranted towards that late game. We saw quite a bit yesterday, and it can be a smart choice even though you have that Blade Fury to kind of give you a makeshift BKB.
If on the flip side, though, Navi get like an Abyssal on PA or even like an instant bash, it could be very, very bad for Tinker. If Wind Ranger goes down early, I think that's the main hero to control. Juggernaut also, I mean, obviously he doesn't really want to get caught in RP and just burst it down or dueled, but for the most part, I think it's going to be Wind Ranger that's the one that's more likely to get locked down by Navi and the one who's going to do much more sustained damage throughout the fight.
Yeah, well, as Singh continues to find more farm, he'll be more and more of a threat. Now that ultimate with the 0% damage reduction, that is scary, to say it lightly, I suppose.
I think the 15-second cooldown is also really big, too. He was able to just kill the Venge very easily early on, and then...
Did they ever fix that that issue with Maelstrom and Mjolnir with Focus Fire, how it would proc even if you don't have an Aghanims? Does that still work? I know you could do that for a while. I think it was Yamate that was doing it. It was somebody in SEA, I think, that was doing that like every game a few patches ago. Then Wind Ranger kind of fell off and haven't seen anybody else do it. All right, so we're resumed here. 8-11, again, glancing at the graph. Navi had a big lead, and all these solo pickoffs from Tinker getting them back in this game, but Koikba is going to get caught out. Dendi whiffs the RP. Oh, no. And now the Omni Slash comes in, finishes off the Magnus. Vanscore's there with the Ghost Scepter, so he'll stay alive to the tail end of the Omni Slash, but, oh, Dendi. Oh, my.
Not his forte.
Yeah. At first, I thought he pump faked it and still had it, but that was an airball.
He needs a ghost.
That was like a free throw that you just shoot over the back of the board.
Havost, eyed by Koikva, eyed by Jason and Sing Sing.
Funnick may get caught in the danger zone again. Okay, he'll be all right, but look at this warding from the Dire side. They've got a lane ward in the top. They've got this great lane ward in the mid, and just anytime Navi move across the lanes, they are ready to jump on someone.
You aren't really seeing the Wisp play up before, where the Wisp +1 would always constantly split push, while the other 3 would threaten kills, and this playstyle is not as popular recently just because of the mass blink initiation that has been pretty common. Like, even Centaur, I would think, is like a pretty good one. This way, you just initiate on the Wisp split pusher, and then you just take a fight, because obviously Wisp can't bring his own teammates in if he's already there. And it's just a riskier play overall. But at the same time, you're not really utilizing Wisp strengths if you aren't able to relocate at all. And we've seen Wisp involved in 4 kills this game out of 8 on the side of Navi, and they just haven't been able to find that many good opportunities.
Yeah.
Ideally, you blink RP, you relocate in, and then you get an easy kill.
I feel like Navi are kind of falling into a similar trap that Team Tinker did in the first game of the series, where they picked this kind of aggressive face rushy lineup, and they're not able to really do that. So you've got this Wisp who's forced to just sort of walk around and farm, not able to capitalize on his ultimate. Dendi, all things considered, has been fairly passive on this Magnus. I think you picked this hero hoping to team fight a little more, get some more of those big RPs, and he's only 3, 2, and 0. So it speaks to kind of how few big team fights he's been involved in, and yeah, it's kind of harboring some of their momentum, but they still have a Vost, farming very well, has been overtaken by the Jug, but now picks up the Abyssal Blade. Huge pickup and a great tool to lock down either the Jug or the Wind Ranger in this upcoming skirmish. Though with that said, Sing Sing closing in on the MKB, less than 500 gold away, now less than 250 away.
Still, Tinker had the opportunity to outplay this Abyssal. For example, Wind Ranger with a Wind Run right before the Blink Strike Abyssal, or Juggernaut with like a Manta style to dissuade any sort of initiation from the single target PA. I mean, technically she has some power, but you're not going to Abyssal until like 1 or 2 seconds after you Blink Strike, because you don't want an Abyssal an illusion by any means. And here they go, smoked up. We see this time they're actually moving around S3 and showing us 2. And oh, buddy, this is awkward.
Oh no, the leader of Tears walks right into Havosi. BKBs, gets a coup de grace, brings the line down right away. Now Koikba, he's on the run. He will Manta. BKB still there on Havos. Comes in with the Abyssal Blade. An obvious target. A coup de grace to finish him off. A quick double for Havos. Then, whoa, a long-range dagger onto Jason. Hops into the cogs. There's Funnick with the duel. We've got a winner. It's a triple kill for the 4-player on Navi. And Havos getting some serious momentum off the back of that Abyssal Blade.
Again, Navi with the better game plan when it comes to these big scale initiations. They have this area warded up, so they're approaching this area smoked up, and then if Tinker is smoked up too, and both smokes pop, Navi has vision, whereas Tinker generally won't. And this, you know, it comes back to me as like similar to the Roshan play, where they have like a game plan, but it's not a really great game plan too. Like the one before, they had an observer ward over here, and they were smoked up behind over here. That was a much better time for them to fight through a smoke, but this time they're blindly smoking to an opponent's jungle, maybe hoping to get some wards off, but they also have their really weak hero up in front with the Lion. They need the Wind Ranger or the Juggernaut.
And all of a sudden, Team Tinker in a really rough position. They used their glyph on the tier 2, so now they don't have it for the base. I don't know that it would have made a difference if they saved it. No buyback available on the Jug, and Navi, after 3 quick kills, get 2 towers and a lane of barracks. They ping out the tier 2 in the mid. Looks like they will shift their sights there, and this graph should be reflecting all this momentum and, well, some upward trending, but I think it'll jump once all that gold gets calculated in here. Havos, he just bought this Abyssal and has another 5,000 gold already.
And now it's really bad for Tinker, because they just lost a big fight around the Roshan pit area, and they really need us to control that area, especially since the next one's the cheese. They need to have that high ground ward that Navi just had, and I mean, they're definitely psychologically impacted by that last fight too. They're like, crap, we just lost a huge fight. One more, they're going to get Roche and they're going to end the game. And there's just they're much less willing to go for an aggressive, concise and clear smoke gank like they did before.
Yeah.
And which is what they need though. They still need to get a smoke gank, get a kill on PA or Magnus, I actually think is one of the more important targets, and then sneak a Roshan in himself. So it's been 8 minutes past the last Roshan timer, and luckily for Navi, it has not respawned yet. And this, I mean, they obviously have taken the Roshan timer, and they should know that it's going to respawn anytime. And this is the ticket that Tinker needs to get back into the game.
There is an Aghanims on the Ogre Magi, which I don't know that we've made mention of, but now a very strong cheese carrier on their team if they still hand the Aegis over to the carry. Butterfly MKB up on the Juggernaut, and we'll probably have to dump that TP scroll. Bulba scouting it out. Whoa, that's a hook shot off over to our side here. Grabs Go Black as he tries to scout out the area. He'll go down, and yeah, now it's a 5v4. Not the time you want to concede an unnecessary death. Roche respawning here in a matter of seconds.
No, Sing Sing's TPing out right before the Roshan respawn.
No.
And they blink out right before. Oh my goodness.
They didn't scout it?
No, they didn't scout it.
Okay, they can see it now. That rocket flare connected. Now they see it. So at least they caught some vision of it. But I think that's a free Roche that they just didn't take for free. Now Venge is going to be up in time to kind of catch the tail end of this engagement. Navi can still do something here. Funnick, he'll go in with a BKB on. Where's the duel? He finds it on to Bulba. There's the RP, connects on 3. Dendi making up for the whiffed one earlier. It's Navi coming out way ahead. A quick set of 3 kills. And now they move into Roche. The Omni Slash from Koikba doing a lot of work. Gets a couple of recovery kills, but simply put, just not enough. The leader of Tears going to get turned into a bucket of Tears as it's a full 5-man wipe. Navi doing that with a 5v4 on the field and still completely clean up Tinker.
First off, amazing RP by Dendi. Secondly, the hesitation from Koikva cost him that fight. He saw his Ogre get dueled, and he could have Omni Slashed him, but he really wanted to look for the PA because he didn't want to get cleaned up after the Omni Slash, and then boom, gets hit by a 3-man RP. And if that hadn't happened, he wouldn't have gotten cleaved down too. has his Mask of Madness popped, and he really can't afford to take that much damage in that very vulnerable period where he isn't using Omni Slash and he has Mask of Madness up. That should only be like a couple of seconds maximum where he is vulnerable to that sort of burst. And he just got completely destroyed by the Empowered Legion Commander.
Yep, and now short on buybacks here. Tinker will have most of their team respawn. Still no Glyph. Jug does have a buyback here. 25 seconds till he's back alive. The tier 3 tower in the mid lane goes down. Tinker on the verge of losing another lane of barracks. Bulba gets initiated on BKB and Abyssal Blade. Enough to lock him down and get another one up on the scoreboard. As now Havos continuing to go pretty deep. He does have the Aegis. Gets caught by the stun from Lion. And now coming back to life. How did Navi handle this? Do they come back in to try and save Havos? Do they let him die? And it looks like it will be the former. Go Black with a great swap, keeps his buddy alive. Now the tether, another RP from Dendi with a BKB on. Grabs 2. Clockwork goes down first, buys back right away. Now Juggernaut dies. He has a buyback still. Oh, he doesn't. He's short 75 gold. Oh no, this could be the end for Tinker. Oh, Navi clean it up once more. The death taking away that valuable money from the Jugger, and now he's stuck in the grave for 70 seconds.
Dendi with his eyes on the prize, again with a sick RP onto the Jug, and that's enough to seal the game.
Yeah, GG's called.
Two back-to-back RPs on Juggernaut, and wasn't able to do anything about it. Koikva, 5-slotted, 0 kills.
Yep.
In the last X minutes.
Fun game. Pretty dominant performance from Navi, 2-0 over Team Tinker. That will end Tinker's run in the European qualifier for the Dota 2 Asian Championship. And, puts Navi in a slightly better position. They're still in the lower bracket, but they will be moving forward to losers bracket round 2, where Navi will be squaring off against Empire as their next step in the gauntlet. Not going to be an easy fight. But for us, Merlini, we're moving on to our final best of 3 of the day, the other opening round of the losers bracket. That'll be Virtus Pro versus Virtus Pro Polar. So VP on VP. It's going to get kinky up in here. We're going to have a short break, and that best of 3 coming up next. If you enjoyed the cast, follow us on Twitter, @Zyori TV, @Merlini Dota, both in the title of this broadcast. And be sure to follow @Beyond the Summit to stay up to date with all things happening here in the DAC. Stick around, folks. More Dota coming your way.